The finger of suspicion for the poisoning of the Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny has always pointed at President Putin, though the Kremlin continues to deny it had anything to do with it. Now, the United Nations Special Rapporteurs say there is evidence to suggest a pattern of behaviour from the Russian leader that should be investigated as a priority. The report says the attack against Mr. Navalny falls within a wider trend observed over several decades of arbitrary killings and attempted killings of Russian citizens and the government's critics both within Russia and extraterritorially. This pattern requires an emphatic and persistent response by the international community to protect the fundamental rights to life and freedom of expression at the foundation of international human rights. In 2018, Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia were poisoned in Salisbury. Again, the nerve agent Novichok was used. Mr. Skripal, who survived the attack, was a former Russian military intelligence officer. Alexander Litvinenko, a former officer in Russia's spy agency, the FSB, was killed in London in 2006 after he drank a cup of tea containing a rare radioactive substance called polonium-210. Last week, Mr. Navalny was sent to a penal colony after a trial which saw him sentenced to 2.5 years for violating his probation over a 2014 case he claims was fabricated and the European Court of Human Rights has ruled to be unlawful. The UN Special Rapporteurs added that the poisoning of Mr. Navalny might have been done deliberately to send a warning to anyone else who might want to raise their voice against the Russian state. Earlier, I spoke to Agnes Callamard, the UN Special Rapporteur and one of the authors of the report, and I began by asking her what she wanted to achieve with it.
Aim to do a couple of things. The first one is that we needed to have an international perspective, an international law perspective on what had happened. The second is to participate to a truth-telling exercise. And that, as you know, as a journalist, talking to truth to power, putting fact on the ground against disinformation, against propaganda, that's a very important role.
But the difficulty is that you know who gave the orders, effectively. You know who was after Mr. Navalny, but it appears that the international community can do nothing about it.
Well, I will not go that far, Mr. Snow. First of all, the fact that individuals are named is important, and we should not think that because there is no immediate action, then we should not name them. Trust me, I don't think they like being named, and the fact that they are attached to a killing forever is going to be an important element moving forward. You know, I worked for 2 years on the killing of Jamal Khashoggi. For 2 years, I've asked, along with others, for proof to be provided of the direct culpability of Mohammed bin Salman. On Friday, at least one government has made it clear and public that indeed he was the one who ordered the operation. We are far yet from accountability, but it took 2 years, and I suspect the journey for accountability for Alexei Navalny's attempted poisoning is going to be a hard one. It's going to be a long one, but it is one that we need to keep working on.
But that is the difficulty, isn't it? That we know who killed Khashoggi, but nothing will happen, and that surely discredits the United Nations, and indeed it discredits the international community for not doing anything about it.
Look, I don't agree with that, and I think we really need to stop being held hostage from and by governments and countries whose judicial system is neither independent nor able to carry their work. We need to have a narrative around justice. It is not an indictment of the United Nations that we cannot put the leaders of Russia or of Saudi Arabia in front of a court. It is an indictment of those countries. But speaking up and putting those names in public record, having you speak about those names and those individuals, that is part of allowing those individuals to face the court, an independent, impartial court, Maybe next year, maybe in 10 years, maybe in 20 years, but that will happen.
Agnes Callamard, thank you very much indeed for talking with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.